welcome all to the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast. If you like going off-roading in Toyotas, wrenching on Toyotas, camping in Toyotas, and maybe even poking a little bit of fun at Toyotas, and of course, hearing about all the giveaways we like to do in Toyotas, then this is the podcast for you. That's right, ladies and germs. My name is Tyler, and joining me for episode 3 of the Snail Trail 4x4 podcast.
397.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy moly. Is this Barry Manilow sounding dude over here, Mr. Jimmy Jet? How are you, man?
Good. Thanks. How are you doing, man?
Pretty good.
Glad to hear it.
Mm-hmm. As usual. The huge, as the woke people would say.
Oh, yeah?
Yep.
That's good thing that's not me.
Oh man. So we're finally getting some spring weather, I think.
Yeah, I think we're supposed to get back up to 90 degrees here in a matter of days.
Sweet.
So you're finally wearing the correct apparel.
I know. I've been wearing it the whole time.
Never stopped.
Nope. Yeah, man. There's still 5 to 6 feet of snow out in Rubicon Springs.
Yeah. We did see, who was that? Nick
Bailey. Yeah.
What Avalanche Technical? Is that technically his name?
That is technically his technical name.
Yeah. He took the quad on tracks. I believe he went down Cadillac
or around it
somewhere. Yeah. Around it.
Yeah. But he came in from Tahoe.
Yep. Came in the Tahoe side and went all the way down. And yeah, there's still a few 5 feet of snow at Rubicon Springs.
Yep.
Which was kind of crazy to see.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, they are going to push back Rubathon.
They haven't made the official announcement yet. It might be out by the time this episode airs. What's today? The 9th? I think they're announcing it on the 15th. But it sounds like they are going to be moving it back. So watch for that official announcement from Rubathon. It'll get posted all over the Rubicon Trail page. I'm sure emails are going to go out to all the participants. Yeah, keep an eye open on your emails for that. I believe May 15th is when they said they're going to be announcing all the details for Rubathon this year.
Got it. Okay. Good to know. Mm-hmm. So yeah, keep your ear holes and eye holes open for that. All those updates. Let's see. What do we have any other updates on our end?
I don't think so. We have a lot of the monthly stuff to go through.
Yeah, we got a lot of housekeeping to kind of cover this week. We've got some voicemails to go over. We have giveaways to discuss. We have FMGs and birthdays.
That's right. We do.
Oh, that'll be a lot of fun. Let's start off with our giveaway for the month.
Sweet.
I'll give you some time
from April.
No, the May giveaway.
Oh, the May giveaway.
You're looking up everything else. On the computer, since we weren't prepped and ready for that. So I was going to give you some freedom. The May giveaway this month is 2 PSI Pros 10.6s from Moreflate.
That indeed.
You're getting into the queue. Have you already made those line items? Did you make them yet? You said you would.
Yep. The line items are all made. Right. So the 2 winners are, I think, in the first 20 orders, 25 orders, something like that.
Cool.
Yep.
Yeah. So once those come in, you'll get those out to those lucky winners. These are sort of a placeholder spots, but you don't have to pay for these awesome new compressors that will air up to your desired pressure, which I'm super excited to try.
Yep. And we talked a little bit on a previous episode. You asked what if you wanted to go to 100 PSI or more.
Okay. Yeah.
And we did some testing and they do go to 120 PSI on the set pressure.
Oh yeah.
And if you run it on manual mode, they'll go up to 150.
Got it. So does it just show 99 after that?
Nope. It has 3 digits.
Oh, it has 3 digits. Yep. Okay. That's because I think you said it had 2 digits. Yeah. And I'm like, what if you want to go to 100?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So 3 digits. So it'll show higher than 99. Good to hear. Cool. So to get into that giveaway for this month, the month of May, you need to sign up on irate 4x4. And to do that, you go over to the watch, listen, and discuss section and go to Snail Trail 4x4. And then if you're on a mobile device, scroll to the very bottom, sign up, start down there. And if you're on a desktop, they're on the right side.
Sweet. I like it.
Yeah.
Cool. There's that. We also launched this week, actually, the 5.6.
Yeah, I saw renderings for that. Looks really good.
Yep. The 5.6 is getting the PSI Pro control boards in them. So at the end of June is the goal for the launch on those two compressors. So we'll have the 10.6 and the 5.6 available, and they're up on the website for the pre-orders right now.
Cool.
So
that's exciting news.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Moreflight.
Thank you, sir.
Very good.
Yep. So we got that. Let's see. We have the giveaway from last month.
Yes, we do.
We have 2 wieners.
Yes. Drum roll, please.
I don't have those buttons. You have the buttons.
I don't think we have a drum roll.
We did.
Did we?
Yeah. Did we get rid of it?
We got a rim shot.
Oh, that's what it was.
Yeah, we don't have a drum roll. I don't think we ever had a drum roll.
Yeah. Okay.
Winner number 1 for a gift box was
Mr. Spaghetti.
Mr. Spaghetti, Sean Spaghetti.
Mm-hmm.
Too bad we didn't know a few weeks ago because I just drove past your house, so I could have brought it.
Yep.
Stay lovey.
And winner number 2 is Mr. Ron Hughes.
Ryan Hughes.
Ryan Hughes. That's what it was.
Ryan Hughes. Yeah. Congratulations, guys. We'll send you guys an email confirming your shipping addresses, and we'll get those out to you.
Yeah.
And you can get some Summer Shine products.
Summer Shine, some CLP from Stable, and some other little goodies in there.
Yeah. Excellent.
So cool. That's the giveaway from April. Those 2 winners there. Let's see. We have, should we do FNGs and birthdays?
Yes.
All right. So FNGs for April. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. FNGs for April is Mr. James Ginsburg from Ginsburg Fabrication.
Nice. Thanks, James.
We've been having some fun chats on Instagram. Jared Breckenfeld.
Thank you, Jared.
Brian Moffat.
Mr. Moffat. Thank you.
And Jemray Reap.
Jemray Reap. I thank you very much.
Yep. And
if you want to write in and tell us how to do that phonetically, you can help us out.
Yeah. Or call in and let us know. So cool. That's the FNGs. So we got 4 of them. And then for birthdays for May, we have a lot.
Yeah, I bet.
Let's see. So we got Elizabeth Sandstrom.
Elizabeth, thank you very much. 1 year, right?
1 year.
Okay.
1 year birthdays. Derek Limburger.
Derek, awesome. Thank you.
Gene Hill.
Mr. Hill, thank you.
Yeah, David Pollack.
David Pollack.
Ash Santilli.
Ash Santilli, thank you very much.
Yeah, Alexander Sagisi.
Alexander, awesome.
Colton Lloyd.
Colton, like the gun.
Yep. Ryan Hughes, our winner.
Ryan Hughes, 1 year, and you finally won.
Yeah. Bradley Best.
Mr. Best. Best Buy. Do you own Best Buy?
I wish maybe we can get some hookups there.
Yeah, I need a computer.
Yeah. Jacob Gordino.
Jacob Gordino. Thank you very much.
Arthur Thesaurus.
Mr. Thesaurus. Thank you.
Arthur Thesaurus. So those are the 1 years.
Wow. That was a lot of 1 years.
That was a lot there.
Okay.
2 years. We got Mr. Frank Gillespie.
Frank. Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm. 3 years, we got none.
0.
3 years.
But
we have 1 4 year.
We have our first 4 year.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome.
Technically, it doesn't kick in until May 30th.
May 30th, the very last day of May.
Mm-hmm. But we do have our first 4 year birthday month. So it's Mr. Dustin Ferguson.
Mr. Dustin Ferguson.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
That's pretty freaking cool, man.
Yeah, that is rad. 4 years supporting Snail Trail 4x4.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, man. That means a lot.
Yep. It's pretty rad, man. Thank you. It goes a huge way. We always talk about it and how much we love you guys supporting the show and love interacting with you guys and getting out to 4 years of doing this and still being just as jazzed to see these names pop up over and over and get to know you guys. It's been a lot of fun. So
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, man. So that's FNGs and birthdays. We did announce the winners for April's giveaway. We went over May's giveaway. We're getting the stuff in the works and the plans for Power Tool Month.
You giving that away?
I don't know.
What did you just did?
What? It's a power move.
Oh,
that's all it is. It's just a power move. That's all I'm doing.
Okay. Yeah, we're getting ready for Tool Month happening next month.
Yep.
So get ready for that. It's going to be a good one. So far, things if everything that we are asking for comes through, it's going to be a fantastic month.
It's going to be a pretty rad month. I'm excited for it for sure.
I'm absolutely excited for it. I'm willing to flex my muscles and show off our power. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I agree. Oh man. So Tool Month. Everybody get ready for that. So if you are just kind of getting back into listening to the podcast from a lazy winter, or maybe you're a month or so behind on listening and you're listening to this episode kind of at the end of May or beginning of June, start fast forwarding and paying attention.
Yeah, absolutely. Because Tool Month goes fast and we do things weekly and you have to be paying attention that week to understand what's going on. So if you're behind the schedule, jump ahead. Yeah. Jump ahead and start catching up with those episodes, those weeks. Cause a lot of them, we announce what's going on Thursday and then it ends on the following Monday. So you've got to be ready. And then I think that's what's going to happen for the first one, because our first episode lands on June 1st.
Oh, wow.
And I think our first giveaway happens the Monday after, which is the 5th.
Yeah.
Or the 4th or something like that.
It's pretty quick.
Yeah. 5th. And then I think from there we announce weekly kind of how things go. So that first one's it's going to be a good giveaway and a few winners possibly, but you only have a few days to get in.
Yep.
So pay attention.
Pay close attention. And speaking of paying close attention, hopefully username is already taken 69420 and Joe Z60421 are paying attention, because you guys have until Memorial Day. Jimmy and I went back and listened to the episodes to figure out what the time deadline we had originally said, and it was Memorial Day. So you guys have until Memorial Day to reach out to us, or we're going to do the redraw on the WINCH giveaway for the reviews. We're still waiting on confirmation about the 750 reviews giveaway. So we'll get you guys more details about all that as we get confirmation of it all. But keep those reviews coming in, because we're still doing swag packs at 550, 600, 650, 700, and then a really big giveaway at 750. So we're looking at almost like close to $2,000, if not more, in value for that giveaway if it all goes through. So
if everything works out for everybody out there, for sure.
So keep those reviews coming in. We'll read a couple more reviews probably on next Thursday's episode, maybe Monday. But we have a couple of voicemails to get to today as well.
Okay, great. Yeah. And I want to do a quick little shout out, because our episode 400 is coming up in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So we'll definitely be playing some voicemails on that episode. So if you want to ask us something, or you want to talk to us or congratulate us or whatever it is, phone in, and within the first few words you say, put congratulations 400 or whatever you want to say.
And we'll
hold off on playing those in the next few episodes leading up to 400.
Sweet.
So phone in and for episode 400 and leave us some voicemails. That'd be fun.
Cool. I agree. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I've been having a lot of fun listening to the voicemails and doing them on the show.
Yes.
So
I do really enjoy that. That part of this episode.
Budget Overland just started their voicemails up.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So Benji's doing voicemails now over there too. And I meant to call in and leave him one. So I think he's going to be airing them starting at next Monday's episode or something.
Cool. Yeah. We'll call him live on our show.
That'd be fun.
Leave him a message. But speaking of Budget Overland, we got something in the mail.
From Benji Ward to Jimmy and Tyler.
Yeah. I already know what it is. So
cheater.
All right. Tyler's opening. It's just an envelope for us here. It's nice and simple. Oh, I didn't know there was a note.
A little note here. It says, "Here you go, fellas." And some Budget Overland stickers. It says, "P.S. Share," smiley face.
Cool.
So we'll have some there to share with people. We'll put one probably up on the Morphlate sticker fridge.
Yeah, I like it.
Yep. And then you can have one for your sticker wall. And that leaves 2 left over. So
Perfect.
one for my welding hood and then one for wherever you want to put it.
Yeah. So I was going to talk to you off air, but I think I might do it now.
Okay.
I'm still considering shooting video starting on episode 400.
Okay.
And I've been thinking about building a fake wall in this room.
Okay.
Just a wood wall, like maybe plywood or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but then starting to cover it in stickers.
Okay.
So people could send us stickers. Cause I really like what Dirt Lifestyle Nate is doing. He's just asking for stickers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming he's going to just blanket the vehicle with stickers. That's what I'm guessing.
Cruiser.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking that we could sort of play off of that and just have a humongous sticker wall behind us. And then whenever somebody sends us stickers, we could show it on camera and put it up on the wall somewhere.
That'd be neat.
Yeah.
Do like a sticker day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure we could do that. We've got a ton of plywood in the back, so we can easily set up some 2x4s and just put the plywood into that. Yeah.
Fake facade.
Yeah.
That here, so we don't have to damage the wall too bad.
Yeah. Be easy to tear down if I ever move out of here.
Yeah, so exactly.
Yeah, I'm down for that.
All right.
Yeah.
Sweet.
We'll tell the MFers to start working on that.
Okay.
Building it.
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. So we got some voicemails here. The first one is from a Mr. Bendover.
Bendover.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Good Ford friend. Maybe he's calling because he wants the blue oval.
Maybe. I wouldn't call him a good Ford friend. I mean, there's no such thing as a good Ford friend.
Yeah. I don't know. I think
because you end up having to go pick them up off the side of the road all the time.
That's true.
Yeah.
How many Fords do you own now?
So we have a voicemail from Ben. That's funny.
I still think combined, we own more Toyotas than Fords.
Combined, yes. Because we have 3 Fords combined.
Yes.
And we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Toyotas.
4.5.
4.5 Toyotas. That's right. Becky.
If you include Becky, the black sheep parts truck.
Yep. Cool. Here we go.
You're just not allowed to get another Ford.
About that. Yeah, fuck it. We're just going to go there. My Lightning order got pulled.
Okay.
For a Ford Lightning.
So are you getting a third Ford?
No.
Are we going to become 4 and 4? A battle of the Ford versus Toyota podcast?
I am getting a third Ford, but not the Lightning.
Oh.
Because my Bronco order was also pulled for production.
No way.
Yeah.
Oh, too funny. Okay, so you're going to get a Bronco, but you're probably going to sell it. I'm
going to sell it, yeah. I'll have it. I'll take ownership of it, and I'll have it for a week or 2 weeks, whatever. But my plan is to sell the Bronco, and I'm just going to pass on the Lightning. I kind of spec'd out the Lightning to see if it would be worth it, and to spec it out to what I think would be a good option for people to buy. It was like $85,000.
Wow.
Close to 90 after tax and registration.
Dang.
So I was like, that's too much risk. I don't want to risk $90,000 to maybe not sell it. Sure. So, the Bronco will be 60 grand. So, 64, 63, something like that out the door. And all the dealers are all doing $10,000 markups right now. So, I'll just do exactly what the dealer's doing and somebody will be able to get the Bronco. So,
yeah. Nice.
Anyways, so thought I'd throw that out there. That was a fun little tidbit that came up in the past few days.
Oh, yeah. All right.
Anyways,
so for a week, we're going to be tied.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. All right. So here's a voicemail from Ben.
Ben, what's up?
Say?
Hey guys, just wanted to let you know this episode on Dungeons and Dragons was horrible. Can we at least go back to Radio Talk or something? Bye.
I mean, I'm always down to go back to Radio Talk, but
I don't know.
Is he talking about the Star Wars episode?
I guess that's my guess is that he's talking about Star Wars episode.
Well, Ben, you are the odd person out because I got a lot of good feedback from the Star Wars episode.
Did you? Yeah. I didn't get a single person say anything.
Oh, really?
For the most part.
I had 3 or 4 people reach out.
Okay.
And then one of them, I ended up getting in a long conversation about the Clone Wars with.
Oh, how funny.
So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Ben, maybe we'll do Voltron or the Smurfs or Gummy Bears or something for you.
There we go. We can do oh God, my Pretty Pony or my Princess Pony.
We'll do
or, I don't know, something like that for Ben.
What are those guys called?
I don't know.
The people that dress up as ponies?
Furries?
Furries.
Do a furry episode for Ben.
Is a furry.
Oh, Ben, you're gonna have to call in. Let the world know.
Yeah. I want to know what you dressed up for Halloween this last year, Ben.
It was probably a pony.
It was, I bet.
All right. Voicemail number 2. Looks like it's from Evan Cook.
Ah, Mr. Cook.
Yeah.
Hey,
so,
buddy.
He actually wrote in about asking about places to camp at the Rubicon Springs in an email. And so I thought it was a good question that I meant to cover anyways on the podcast. So essentially he's planning a trip for 2 vehicles in summer here to the Rubicon. And he was like, what is your favorite campsite at Rubicon Springs?
Yeah.
It is Pine Cove.
Pine Cove.
Yep.
And is that the one by, I don't know where that one is exactly. So
there's 2 coves, I guess. One is the Rock Cove, something like that. And that's the one as you go down on the slabs, it's off to the left where the big fire pit is.
Yes.
Kind of on to the left of the slabs.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Pine Cove is the big group of trees kind of in the center of the slabs down at the water.
Yes. Okay.
That's Pine Cove.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I understood. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And they're next door to each other.
Pretty much. There's a granite slab in between, but yeah. Mm-hmm.
So both of them aren't bad, but you do get more shade at Pine Cove than Rock Cove.
Yeah. And Rock Cove is really gravelly. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of really small kind of pea rocks in there, whereas Pine Cove is just all nice soft dirt.
Got it. Which I've never paid attention because I always camp in a rooftop tent.
Yeah.
So I don't have to worry about that stuff where I'm going to be putting my ground tent.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But it was sort of hard to get level on those rock slabs.
Yeah.
At Rock Cove.
And Radiator Springs.
Yeah. At Radiator Springs, what the assistant calls it.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's a bunch of campgrounds there. So
there's a ton of little spots you can request as your campsite to reserve for the weekend while you're there. It's all listed on the Rubicon Soda Springs website. So when you place your reservations, there's 9 or 10 different options of stuff.
Don't they want larger groups to take some of those spots and not just reserve them for a smaller group of like 2?
Not necessarily, because like each spot is really only for like 2 to 3 rigs.
Okay.
Except for, with the exception of Dirty Dozen. You know, Dirty Dozen, you fit 120 rigs in there.
Right. I guess the only time I've really ever camped there was when we did a Mad Hatter's trip. And there was 15 rigs out there between those 2 spots.
That's technically 4 spots, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. So that's
interesting.
That's Rock Cove. I forget the name of it. Rock Cove, Pine Cove, Slabs, and a 4th one. I forget what it's called. But yeah, we essentially rent out or reserve 4 to 5 spaces at Rubicon Springs when we go.
They're all right there.
Yep. And then last year, I guess we did also the VIP area.
Oh,
we got to reserve the VIP area. And so a lot of the club really liked that. So there's some people in the club that like the VIP area better. And there's some people like the slabs area better. So I think this year when we go, we'll be getting both areas again and kind of let people just figure out which side they want to go. Yeah.
VIP area was where we stayed with Glue Tread, correct? Yep. Yeah. That was nice.
I really like that.
I like VIP because you're in the trees.
Yeah.
You definitely have shade because it does in the summer. It gets hot down there and you're right on the river. You know, there's a decent little swimming hole right there. Yeah. VIP area, I think would be my preference, though you are more in the thick of what's going on at Rubicon Springs.
Yeah.
So there's more traffic, more dust happening, more rigs driving by a lot. So, I mean, it's sort of you'll be a little closer to some noise, probably not at night, but maybe if you're at VIP, but you do get a bit more shade at VIP.
Yeah.
The swimming holes in both locations are perfect.
They're great at both spots. So, cool. All right. So let's see what Evan had to say here. Looks like Ben might get his wish.
What is happening? Jimmy and Tyler. Long-time listener, Evan, EA Cook 1. I've emailed and talked to you guys a bunch of times. Anyway, I got to call and bust Tyler's balls a little bit because you had a caller call in about GMRS radios. You recommended a UV5R Baofeng. You never once told or said that radio was a ham radio. I know he's talking about GMRS, but now he's going to have a ham radio, not licensed, may not know what to do with those other channels. Anyway, just a little observation. I'll be up in your neck of the woods in September with a buddy. going to hit the Rubicon for the first time. So maybe I'll see you guys out there. Keep crawling.
Very possibly, Evan. May 15th. Check out the dates that Rubathon's putting out. So, yeah, no, I thought that I had mentioned that if you get it, it's not a type certified radio for GMRS, the UV5Rs.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I do remember you saying that you would have to put in the codes, and it takes a little bit more learning to set that radio up compared to the other one, but it is a little stronger. And Evan does have a point. I mean, we should clarify that, if you do buy the UV5R Bofang radios, technically it's not a GMRS radio. Technically, it is a ham radio, but if you set it up on low power and you set it up for the proper frequencies, then you're really abiding. Yeah.
You're essentially turning it into a GMRS radio.
You are turning it into a GMRS radio, though technically it's not. Yeah. But you do have more flexibility, which is what you were talking about. If you go with the Baofeng radio compared to a GMRS.
Yep. So, that definitely should be said. If I missed it in that episode, the UV5Rs are not type certified for GMRS. So the whole goal of using it for GMRS would be to get it and turn it into a GMRS radio, which again takes a little bit more work. You need to know a little bit more, but it's a hell of a lot cheaper than the other options out there that are labeled for GMRS. So, cool. Good observation. I'm glad you caught that, because it is important to make sure people know that about the type certification on those radios. So,
and I think Ben's happier now.
Yes, we got some radio talk in for Ben. Oh, cool, man. Let's see. Is there anything else? We've got 2 more voicemails. I think they're both from the same person, though. So I think we can leave those for next week or another episode.
All right.
Since we had a lot of housekeeping on this one.
Yeah.
I have 3 kind of bigger updates.
Okay. I don't have a whole lot of updates since Moab. So I'll just take the reins right now.
Okay.
Let's see. I haven't done anything on Bobcat since I took it off the trailer. So it's still, I'm going to air quotes broken. I don't want to drive it around with, and it is a harmonic balancer. I think you called that in one of the last episodes. So when I did some Google research and crank pulleys, what's this? And everybody's like, yeah, harmonic balancer setup.
Yep.
One of the things I found interesting in searching for my harmonic balancer is I couldn't really find any for sale online that had 3 V-belts like mine has.
Oh, interesting.
They're all 2 V-belts.
Okay.
So I bought a 2 V-belt one, and I'm assuming it'll work. I just need to make sure that nothing's stressed on the belts at a funky angle.
That they're all in line.
Yeah. And the reason mine had 3 V-belts is because I had air conditioning at one point in time. So it's really a matter of, and I don't have air conditioning now. I've taken the whole compressor out. Like it's not, there's just fittings in the firewall for it. That's all that's left of the air conditioner. So
does the pulley that you got, does it have like the 2 pulleys that are on there for the V-belts? Is it 1 and then a space and then 1?
There's a small gap.
Okay.
But not as large as another V-belt.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll see how it goes. I bought it from LC Engineering.
Okay.
I figure they know what they're talking about.
Typically they do. Yeah.
They're fantastic, 22RE and more, and newer engines as well, but they were the go-to 22RE website for a long time. So I got it from them. It hasn't came yet. It should show up here today and tomorrow sometime soon. And then I'll, swap that out. And then I don't think I really had anything else major that I needed to take care of on Bobcat to get it up and running for playing for the, the upcoming off-roading sessions that I'm going to go on. But so that's about all I've done. I've just sort of been playing a lot of catch up on Snail armor. Like I caught up. My weekends have been I've been selling like crazy on the weekends.
It's awesome.
It's great. I love it. But my weekdays are taken up by, I'm not able to play on a house or play on a rig. I'm etching panels, which is good. It's good and bad, but let's see. So the last weekend, or 2 weekends ago, I went to the Boonville Beer Festival.
Oh, that's right.
Out in Anderson Valley, California. They're the company that makes the Boont Amber Ale.
Okay.
It's that like bear with deer antlers on top of it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they make one of those. That type of an amber ale, which that's their like famous beer.
Nice.
But there's something like 80 breweries at this festival. It was a lot of fun. We went up Friday. The assistant took the day off of school and we drove up there. And on the way up, we stopped at Spirit Works in Sebastopol and we went tasting some spirits. And they follow the rules. You know, you're only able to get like 1.5 ounces, a shot more or less of
while you're there.
Yeah. They had a few different flights. They had like a gin and vodka flight and they had a whiskey flight. And then they had one where they'll make you a 1 ounce drink of your whatever drink you kind of want.
Okay.
And then you can have 2 small tastings alongside of it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I almost did that, but I did the whiskey bourbon flight and the assistant did the gin and vodka flight. And then we shared.
Yeah.
And so really we tasted pretty much everything they had.
Yeah.
But they have an amazing alcohol called slow gin. It's a gin, but then it's infused with sloe berries.
What are sloe berries?
Which are illegal in the United States.
What?
Yeah. Because they're an invasive species.
Oh.
And
I've never heard of sloe berries before.
I really haven't either. I haven't before going to this or doing some tastings with this company. But a sloe berry looks like a small plum.
Okay.
It has supposedly has a large pit in it, you know, and it has a little bit of fruit on the outside, but I'm picturing it like the size of a mandarin, you know, or maybe smaller. I'm not sure for sure. I don't know. They get them flash frozen from like Bangladesh or something like that. And they're sent to them.
Wow.
And then they make gin and then they add the sloe berry and then they let it sit for a certain period of time. And then, you know, they get a lot of the flavor out of that.
Wow.
And so that's the only gin that I've really like actually appreciated. I'm not a gin fan. I don't know. The botanicals of gin isn't my flavor. I'm not sure why.
Okay.
I just don't like it very much. But the slow gin was really interesting because it's, you know, a fruit that you can't get in the United States. It's a whole different thing. I think they're one of the only, or if not the only company that makes that style of alcohol.
Okay.
But it's known throughout the world. Like a lot of people do it. Like they make that type of gin, but
just not in the States.
Not in the States. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting.
So yeah, that was pretty fun. So we bought a bottle of their rye whiskey, which isn't very rye forward, but it's a rye.
Okay.
So that's more appealing to me because I found that I don't like the spicy ryes unless they're in a mixed drink.
Okay.
We had bought a bottle of their regular gin, a bottle of their vodka, and a bottle of the slow gin.
Okay.
Yeah. So then we went to the beer festival.
Yeah, geez.
We had a good time at the beer festival. We showed up a day early, hung out with friends, relaxed. We brought out the alcohols and did some sampling of that. And then we said, this isn't like, we don't want to share this with the whole festival. So we're going to put this away.
Okay.
And and then started to have some drinks. The next day we went to bed at a semi-decent hour that night. The next day we woke up, it was the beer festival day. We filled our belly with some carbs and 1 o'clock the beer festival went. It goes from like 1 to 5. And then, you know, just went around tasting. At a point during the beer festival, I was like, I'm tired of beer. Like I'm tired. Like there's so many hoppy things. I tried to start like with lighter beers and work my way up to somewhat hoppy, but then I tried to go back to lighter beers and it just wasn't working out. And there was a ciders, seltzer and kombucha section.
Oh
yeah. And I went over to
kombucha beer.
There was a kombucha, which has a little bit of alcohol in it. Right?
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it was technically a beer.
Okay.
But they had a hard kombucha. Which was fun. And then there was a yerba mate hard kombucha.
Okay.
And so I drank like 2 or 3 of those and
stayed up all night.
Well, and they have caffeine in them. Right. And so I was like, okay, I'm ready to party some more. You know, it gave me like my second wind. So and then we went to the other side of the festival and did some more tastings out there. And then afterwards we went and played kickball.
Nice.
Which was kind of hilarious to see a bunch of grown men that were semi mostly
all drunk.
Yeah. Playing kickball. And
was it like a big kickball tournament, or like did you have to make teams? Or was it just you show up and play?
It was show up, and then somebody was kind of counting how many people were in each team and was telling people to go to which teams.
Okay.
Yeah, and there were strikeouts, like people just, their depth perception was off.
They would miss the ball.
Yeah. Which I've never seen in my life.
I've never seen that either. Yeah. Okay.
A lot of pop flies that nobody could catch, or, they totally missed and balked. You did in this game, you had to play with a beverage in your hand.
Okay.
Right. So it was a little more difficult to catch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so did that and then went back to our camp after we played that for a while and got some more drinks and hung out and played some flip cup, and then went wandering around. The assistant has been to the festival a bunch of times, a bunch more, like 3. I've only been twice, and she's been at least 5.
Yeah.
And so she always makes a joke like, we got to go find Club Boone for Booneville. Right. And there's Club Boone isn't in the same spot every year. It moves around.
Okay.
And the Club Boone is really just a random party.
Gotcha.
Out there. That's what she says. So
it's like Ultra 3.
Yeah. Okay. Well, kind of, but isn't Ultra 3 is always in the same spot?
Are they in the exact same? They get the exact same spot every year. I thought they kind of moved around a slightly bit, but
well, I mean, I think we all kind of move a slight bit, but no, like this is, let's go to that place is playing some loud music and there's a bunch of people over there. Let's go hang out there, and let's go over there. Let's go over here. It's just walking around to different campsites and hanging out. And then we always go, we're trying to find Club Boone. It's just which place is partying.
Okay. Got it.
This was a very low attendance. And so we went, and there was only like one big party going on. And I was like, I guess we found it.
Okay.
But that reminds me, because then after that, we walked a little farther, and there was this mini school bus, and it had like these LED lights kind of going on in there. And we turn and we go, those people are having sex.
What, in the school bus?
In the school bus. And it was just like
a bunch of people?
So the assistant said that there was multiple people in there. I did not see multiple people. I only saw the 2.
Okay.
But there were plenty. They were showing off. That's what they were doing. So yeah, so that was kind of fun because the whole bus was lit up. They weren't trying to be discreet at all, right? Okay. They're just, the bed is up at the window level, and they're just going at it. So that was kind of interesting. And then,
good for them.
Yeah, good for them. They were having fun. Later, we found out it's a German couple that's been traveling around the United States.
Okay.
Yeah. So because we talked to one of the neighbors of the school bus.
So, hey, how was that school bus last night?
Kind of. Did you see what we saw? They're like, yeah, a few times. So, yeah. Wow. And then really the next day was, try not to be too hungover because you got to drive a really windy road about 26 miles out. And we call it the Booneville Marathon. And we count how many people are on the side of the road parked and up chucking. Yeah. And we only saw 2 this time, which is pretty good. And one of them was almost to the end. Like if they would have made it. They almost made it. They had like half a mile to go into the straights.
Mm-hmm. But, did you guys take over-unders on how many you would find before you left?
No, we didn't. But one of our guys followed the school bus out. So it was kind of funny. He said took him a while to go to a pull-out spot. But, yeah, so that was kind of comical. So, but it was a fun weekend. We got home tired because we were up late, a little hungover. And then we had to go pick up the mini assistant, and she was like hyper as ever. And we're like, we're going to watch some movies. We're going to do something low key. So yeah, so that was a few weekends ago. Not a whole lot has happened on the house in the last few weeks, though. I'm really coming down to crunch time.
Yeah, you are.
So I think we've decided that we're going to rip out the floor in the guest bathroom on the upstairs. And that's really about all we're going to do in that bathroom. So it's just going to be a floor replacement. Mm-hmm. And then we're going to do the master bathroom a little slower than we had anticipated. And we're just going to use the guest bathroom on the upstairs as our main bathroom for a short period of time.
Gotcha.
While we finish the master bath.
Okay.
And then there's a few, like we need to carpet and paint and do some texturing and maybe some small other updates, but then all that shouldn't take terribly too long to get all done. So I'm kind of on my, I need to figure out what tile or what laminate or something we're going to put in to the guest bathroom. And then I need to take some more of the popcorn ceilings off. And then I'm on build mode.
Nice. That's exciting.
Yeah. So that should be fun. Mm-hmm. We're still planning on moving in on the summer, but really I think it's going to be like late summer.
Okay.
It's going to be one of those because we're not even starting to pack until the assistant's out of school.
Yeah.
And then it'll be probably like, what can we move over now that we don't have to really worry about?
Mm-hmm.
And we can't put stuff in until I'm done painting.
Yeah.
So I'm really at the point where I need to step up my game on the house now. And so my life in the next month or so is going to be panels and house.
Panels, yeah.
And maybe get Bobcat up and running for a random 1 day wheeling trip of some sort.
Yeah. Well, there's still a ton of snow up in this area, so there's not going to be any rock crawling. I don't think there's going to be any rock crawling until mid-June.
No, I don't think so either. We were invited on going to a Fordyce trip, but Fordyce is technically closed right now.
Yeah. Yeah, they closed it up.
They closed the forest down.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not 100% clear on why. I think it's just they're concerned about water runoff and sediment movement.
Yep.
Which I get. You shouldn't really be wheeling when it's muddy anyway. So it's, because you're really doing some damage on the ground. And that's what gets a lot of us in trouble out here in California is the sediment going down the rivers and everything. So I get that. So I think I'm in a good spot because we still have so much snow and things are closed that I can't really go out and do some wheeling of some sort. So I'm just going to work on a house.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
You can do some wheeling on the MFers vehicles like I'm doing.
Yeah, I know. I pulled up now. I was like, dang. Like that tire doesn't stick out. He pulled up on some, what are those 32s?
I think 32s or 33s. Yeah.
It's like, it's a 2-wheel drive truck that's sort of been lifted.
Yeah.
It has like a 4-inch body lift on it or something silly.
And then it has like a wider stance. I don't know if it's just offset wheels or if it's spacers. I forget.
But I didn't realize how much wider those wheels were. And I was like, man, what do you have? Like a 2 inches that you could pull up on? And no, they're much wider than that.
Yeah.
Because I was shocked. I was like, man, you didn't hit the body. You didn't. Until I walked around, I'm like, oh, those wheels stick out a lot.
Yeah.
So I saw it parked next to you. I saw that.
Nice. Yep. So, I don't know. I think it's going to be a while, but I'm kind of in the same boat as you where it's like, it's a good year for vehicle projects to take longer.
Right. So right now is a fantastic time for you to do maintenance.
I know, exactly. And my maintenance is coming down to getting the rig ready for the suspension and axles to be put under it. So for that, I have to remove the front and rear bumpers and my batteries. So, and then get it up on the trailer and take it up to Ori and drop it off so that he can start cutting the frame off and prepping the rest of the frame for the suspension. And then I'll take up with him all the suspension stuff from 4-Wheel Underground at that time. And then once he has it all off, then I'm going to go back up and pick up the tires, wheels, and Toyota axles, bring those back down, take the tires off and put them on 8-lug bead locks and take the race lines and hopefully have some tires to put on the Bronco.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then it's just
sell the axles. What do you
sell
doing?
The axles? Yep.
Okay. You already have a buyer or you,
I had one, cause he was going to put him under he was building a 1st gen 4Runner, I think. He was going to put him under him and then a tree fell on his 4Runner this winter.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, I told him I would hold off, doing anything until he figures out if he's gonna be able to get that fixed from his employer or not.
Yeah.
And so I'll list the axles up for sale once I have them in my possession off of the 4Runner.
Wow. Okay.
But if anybody's interested, let me know and I'll let you guys know before I list it. So, but I'm gonna have to redo the batteries.
Yeah.
Again. So, because of
Are you just temporarily going to put one battery in the engine bay to drive it around?
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get, I think it's Renogy. Renogy came out with a cranking lithium ion battery.
Okay.
So I think it's a 65 or 70 amp hour battery, that can do cranking amps
Wow.
So you can use that as a starter battery, and it has, because it's lithium, it maintains its usable voltage a lot lower. And so one lithium battery will have about the same usable voltage amp hours as 2 AGMs, 2 red tops. So I think I'm going to go that route.
You're just going to go back to one battery?
One battery and then have the Jackery for stuff.
Yeah, I love my lithium cube from Wagon Tech. I mean, everybody goes, why don't you have dual battery setups in your rig? I'm like, I kind of do.
Yeah. Right.
My other one's portable.
Yeah.
And I can move it around. I mean, yeah, I can't run welders off of it or run, I have to have another battery if I'm going to do something like a bun welder. But I do have a dual battery setup. I can run almost everything else off of the vehicle. Yeah. Or everything else on that battery. Run lights at camp. Speaking of lights at camp, the Devos Light Ranger is amazing.
Isn't it fucking awesome?
Oh my gosh. I used it for the first time at the festival.
Oh yeah.
And played with the light settings and it lasted for a really long time. I was shocked. They said I guess their 4 hours was on high. It must be on high.
Yeah. 4 hours on high.
I had it set up. So what's interesting, so their low, medium, high levels aren't dimming all the lights. It's what it does is there's 4 sides to the light and so low is 1 side on, medium is 2 sides on, and high is 4 sides on.
Oh, interesting. I didn't catch that.
Yeah. And so I put it on low, but I turned it so that one side was facing the flip cup table.
Okay.
And so it lit that up perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it worked that way. It was so nice. It worked out so well. And it rained on us, and it actually, no problems because it can survive
being underwater
under some feet of water, which is they don't spec, but it is an IP rated device. I ran the solar panel, the lithium cube, and then I charged it the next day, and it charged up all the way, and my battery charged up all the way.
Yep.
So yeah, it's really nice.
It's a sweet camp light.
It is. Yeah. Everybody around me, it's like, where'd you get this? And I told them Devos, and so I might have made a few sales. We'll see.
Nice.
But the assistant loved it because we had it over by the flip cup table, and then when we were getting later when we did, we went back to our truck to make something, like make a drink or make the nightcaps or whatever it was. We just picked it up and carried it over to our table because nobody else they weren't playing flip cup at the time. So it was, it's easily portable. So I just want to get that slam steak thing for it.
I know, right?
I think that'd be really cool to have.
Yeah. So cool. I'm glad you got to make some use out of it because it's a pretty rad light. Like you think, oh, it's a camp light. Like how exciting can a camp light be? And then you use it and you're like, this is actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah. The assistant first set it up and she only I think it extends 3 times and she extended it twice. And so the light was sort of right above our eyes, right at our eye level. And I was like, put it up, send it higher. So it's out of our kind of view. And yeah, once it was at its full 9 feet, it's, you really don't notice it. It just is an area light, which is really nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It worked out fantastic. Okay.
That's cool.
Anyways, moving on.
Yeah. I forgot where I was.
Me too. But you were at your lithium battery setting that up, and then we went to dual batteries.
Have to do all that. So, that's kind of my plan for that. But the coilovers for the rear 3-link, since Brian found a way to do coilovers without cutting up into the cargo area of 4Runners.
Right.
That's what I'm going with. And so I'm going to have to A-frame, and lean back my coilovers. So they'll kind of be back up towards my rear bumper.
Yeah.
That's right where all my batteries are right now.
Oh, right.
So, I did find out while we were in Moab, gone for 10 days. When I got back, the 4Runner was completely dead, the starter battery.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I have a small draw in the starter battery somewhere. Everything I have hooked to the starter battery. And so instead of trying to trace it down, because I'm going to be redoing all the wiring here soon,
right,
in the next month or so, I went and found a solar trickle charger.
Oh.
Which was super kind of handy to have. It's a little board about the size of your laptop.
Yeah.
And it has 2 leads that come off, and you just clip them onto the battery, and it gets 12 watts of solar.
That's really cool.
So yeah, you just set it up on top of the vehicle and it's a trickle charger for your battery.
That's rad. Yeah. And I think this laptop's like a 13-inch.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, that was a fun little purchase. I think it was $40 on Amazon, $50 on Amazon, something
bad.
like that. Yeah. For a little solar trickle charger. So now I can trickle charge the 4Runner, keep it charged without having to run an extension cord out to the road from the house.
Speaking of Amazon, I just purchased a water tank, a 12-volt heater,
a
12-volt controller, a 12-volt pre-priming or setup priming water pump, and a little bit of hose.
Is that for Joe or is that for yourself?
It's a proof of concept for Joe and myself.
Nice.
Yeah, they aren't. I really just went on and found a few things that I think would work, and then and so really what the game plan here is to develop a water tank that runs off the that has an electric heater on it.
Yep.
And then you can run like a shower or sink supplies off of it for a little bit. So I chose like a 10-gallon water tank. But the dimensions of it are kind of interesting. I think I could run 2 of them in the spare tire location underneath Charlotte.
Oh, nice.
So it kind of makes me go, maybe I should get a butterfly valve and have a cold water tank and a hot water tank.
Oh, and you can mix them.
And I can make my own temperature.
Interesting. Yeah.
Which would be kind of interesting.
That would be super interesting.
But really, it's the first step for me is just to figure out if I can make a self-sustaining, a tank that I can put water in, have it heat up when I'm driving, or run it off of the batteries when I'm parked, which I don't think would be that beneficial or it'd draw a lot of power, I think, from that. So really the goal is to have it run while you're driving to heat the water tank up. And then when you're done, you have some hot water. Done driving, you have some hot water and have the pump to pump the water out. And then have an inlet hose that you can pump water into. Yep. So
that's essentially what my plan is for the trailer, the camping trailer. It's same setup. The pump I'm using is an RV pump though.
Okay.
So you just turn on the power to it and it'll automatically self-prime and then it'll turn itself off once it reaches pressure.
Okay.
So then when you release the pressure by, opening up the nozzle for your shower, the pump turns back on and starts pumping. And when you turn the nozzle off, the pump turns off. So it's not constantly running. You don't have to manage the power of the pump yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this one is that way. I just sort of bought a mid-range pump that's self-priming to get the ball rolling.
Yep.
I wasn't going that fancy. I really want to see if I can just connect everything up and make a hot water tank that will hold a certain temperature.
Yeah.
And that I can pump out of.
Yeah.
That's really step one for me.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah. And so the control unit seems pretty interesting, but it's a lot bigger and bulkier than I had anticipated. And I'm kind of like, where am I going to put this thing? Because it's not like I want a control unit out in the back of the truck, though. Maybe I could put it in one of those little cubbies.
Yeah.
In the back of the Tacoma. But I also want to be able to turn it on, and I don't want to have to stop and turn it on, hop out to turn it on. So I don't know if I want to put it in cab and run the wires back for the temperature control or not. I'm not 100% sure with what I'm going to do there yet.
I guess it depends how bulky of a controller you got. You could essentially set up the controller for a certain temperature and then set the power for the controller to be in the cab.
Yes.
And put it on like a relay or something. That way you can just turn it on from the cab, but you already have the temperature set from before. So
yeah. And as long as it holds the memory, and that would probably be fine. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I haven't completely thought all that through yet. I just sort of
the parts and now
started getting the parts in here in the next day or today. I think they're coming in or tomorrow.
Nice.
So that'll be interesting because we are going to Overland Expo PNW. We're planning on the whole family road tripping up there. I do know that we're going to camp 1 or 2 days, but then we are planning on staying in a hotel and at some friend's house throughout that week that we're going to be up there, if not 2 weeks, because we're planning on traveling all the way up Oregon also after the expo and going to stay at some friend's house that live on the Oregon-Washington border up there in the gorge. So we're going to be in the car for a little while, but I also think we're going to be staying at a lot of people's places, but it might be nice to have some water in the vehicle in case somebody gets dirty or whatnot. So my goal is kind of to try to get this going before that and use it as a test run.
Cool.
And more or less like, okay, when I get to our spot, is the water warm? Is it empty? Is it leaking? Does it have pressure? How does this all work?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. Other than that, I've got, I welded my C's onto the axle. So I cut the WMS and welded the C's on.
Did you have to bake them? How'd you get those pressed on?
Baked them to 450 degrees.
Okay.
And then I put some ice cubes inside the axle tube.
Oh, okay.
So it helped kind of shrink those up as much as possible. And then I just had to clean up the tube a little bit, get the mill scale off of it, and then slide them on. So slid them on. And then I welded everything at 22 volts and 405 inches per minute. And then everything was at 250 degrees when I welded it all too. So,
dang.
So it was all preheated because of the C's being heated at 450.
C's being hot. Yeah.
So everything went together really well. The welds came out good. And so I let that cool off. And then my goal was to build the knuckles the next day, and I didn't.
Oh, okay.
So now the next step is to build the knuckles. Brannick got my side gears, the Tundra side gears. So now they have a template for the 36 spline.
Okay. Cool.
So I'll be sending them the measurements after you leave here today. It looks like my long side is 32 and something. Oh, I have a picture of it. The long side of the inner shaft is 37 and 5/8 inches. And the short side shaft is 19 and 5/8 inches.
Cool.
So, and then I have the stub shafts already. So I'll just need to order up the inner shafts and U-joints from Brannick. And then I think everything's ready to go together.
Cool. That's exciting. Yeah. That'll be fun.
Yep. So yeah, that's the axles. I need to get those done before the beginning of June so I can take those up and drop them off with the 4Runner. And then let's see, what else did I do?
Let's talk about the chainsaw. I'm curious about how because you went and did a chainsaw class and got chainsaw certified.
I did. Yeah.
All right. So I want to, did you do that with John? Cause I saw he pulled out of all of his chainsaw stuff too.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. I want to hear how that go. How did that go? What went into the certs? Did you learn anything or did you already know a lot of it or?
Yeah. Good question. So, it was essentially, in order to volunteer with the Forest Service, you, for trail maintenance or anything, and if you want to use a chainsaw, you legally need to have a chainsaw certification from the Forest Service.
Right.
And the big problem has been that they haven't ran a class in 4 years.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay.
Because of COVID. And so everybody's certifications, have expired and they haven't had classes yet. So, they finally put together their first class, I think, since COVID. El Dorado National Forest did. And so I got in on it. And John Allen came with me too, president of the Mad Hatters. He's the chair for Sierra Trek this year too. We had him on the podcast before, Welder John.
We'll probably have him on again here soon.
Probably. Yeah. As we're getting close to, Trek here. Mm-hmm. But so John and I went out there and took the class. John's been chainsawing his whole life.
Right.
I've been chainsawing my adult wheeling life. And so we were both kind of curious, are we doing this the right way?
Yeah, sure.
Is what we've been doing the correct thing that we should be doing? Is there better ways to do it? What are some tips and tricks to learn from people who work on chainsaw crews professionally that have been doing it for 15, 20, 30 years?
Yeah. That still have all their fingers and toes.
And they still have all their fingers and toes and arms and
legs.
Yeah. So, it was eye-opening. It was pretty cool. There was 9 hours of classroom.
Oh my gosh.
On Saturday, which was a long, brutal day.
Yeah.
And then about the same amount of time, 9 hours out in the field playing with chainsaws to practice and do everything and work on stuff before we actually get tested at the end of the day.
Okay.
So it was cool. There's 4 chainsaw certifications with the National Forest Service. There's 3 different levels, A, B, and C, for the most part. And then the instructors, right? And so your A is your intro level. And that's pretty simple things.
Is that This is a chainsaw.
It's well, no,
this is your bar.
Well, totally.
This is the chain.
It totally is. But I mean,
Okay.
at the same time, a Class A chainsaw cert allows you to be chainsawing minimal things.
Okay.
So,
does it allow you to chainsaw in the national forest?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep. As long as you stay within your skill sets and what a Class A tree would be.
Okay.
Right. And but there's no like perfect definition of what a Class A tree would be.
Okay. It's not like at the base, the diameter of the trunk is 8 inches.
Not really. No, it's more about the complexity of the job and whatever you're doing with the tree. So like if you just have a tree, 10-inch tree that's laying across the trail and it's on a flat trail, flat ground, it's not suspended on anything. It's just laying there on the ground. You're looking at an A level bucking job.
Okay.
So there's limbing, bucking, and felling.
Right.
And typically limbing and bucking are kind of moved under the same certificate level. And then felling is a separate skill set.
Sure.
And so
limbing is pretty self-explanatory. You're taking the limbs off a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Bucking would be cutting the tree up in rounds.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And then felling is
to drop a tree.
Drop a tree. Yeah. And so, you come across a 10-inch tree laying on a flat ground in the middle of the trail. You buck it and roll it out of the trail, right? But there's also, times if like there's a tree that fell over and it's suspended over the trail somehow, that would be a level B kind of scenario. It's it's a higher risk. If something goes bad, somebody can definitely get injured.
Sure.
And then there's like, if you have multiple trees that are piled up, suspended over the trail that you have to get undone. And there's multiple different areas where there's different loads and tensions and compressions in different spots. There's a high risk that somebody is going to get injured. If something goes wrong, that would be like a C level.
Right.
Thing. Okay. So that's kind of the way you think about A, B, and C's is what is the complexity of the job and the risk of injury from that job.
Sure. Okay.
So, my whole chainsawing life has been cutting trees out of trails that are already down. So limbing and bucking is what I've always done
with some slight suspension.
A slight suspension, nothing big. Like I always, and once something is chest height or higher on suspension, I'm like, somebody else is that has more skill, knows what they're doing I'm gonna let them deal with this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so, it was pretty cool. The big thing that I learned from the class session is that, you'd think a tree suspended in suspense, is going to be, when I look at that tree and getting ready to cut it, I'm thinking there's pinch points, right?
Yeah.
And that's how I consider.
Right. If I cut it straight down the middle, it's going to lean into itself and pinch the bar of the saw. Yeah. And so in my mind, as I'm thinking, that's one action, right? Mm-hmm. That's one thing going on with that log. But every single tree, every single log has two things going on with it: tension and compression. Okay.
And they'll be on typically opposite sides of the log. So if one side is in tension, one side's in compression,
100%,
right?
Yeah.
And you don't, when you're told that, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Totally. Mm-hmm. But it's not something that I was thinking about when going up and considering when cutting a log.
Right.
And so once you start learning that every tree has tension and compression in it, it's up to you to figure out where it's tensed, where it's tensioned and where it's compressed.
Yeah, sure.
And alleviating those forces during your cutting to make sure that the tree does what you want it to do.
Got it.
And so that was the big thing that I learned from the classroom session. And then getting to put that into play on Sunday was awesome. I got to learn a couple of new cuts for bucking, a couple new strategies for bucking trees. Because usually when bucking trees, if it is going to be a pinch point on your saw as you're coming down through the cut, I'll cut a big wedge out of the top of the tree to alleviate the pinch point coming down. Right.
Okay. And if you can't get underneath it,
yeah, exactly.
Then the saw is going to get pinched at some point, right? So how do you solve that problem? Okay. So you cut a wedge so that if the tree is going to pinch, you have a bigger gap that the saw is in.
Yep.
Okay.
So, it helps alleviate the tension on that side of the tree, on the suspended tree. But I learned that you can do a couple things. One is called a box cut. in which you're making 4 different cuts, and the last cut is on your side of the safe side of the log, and you come up with just the tip of the saw, and that severs the rest of the logs from being tied together. So you don't have your full bar in there. You just have the tip in, and it's easier to get away and stay safe.
Okay.
So there's that. And then I also learned a boring technique.
Like actually diving the bar into the, okay. Interesting.
So essentially what you do is you have a log that's suspended with tension on top, compression on the bottom. Sorry, other way. Compression on top, tension on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
And what you do is
stab it.
You just cut straight down through the top, through the compression side. And as you're cutting down your kerf, which is the space you've created from cutting, is called a kerf. As you're going, you just kind of go slowly, and you watch the kerf on top as your blade goes further down in, your bar goes in, and the kerf will start closing on you.
Yeah.
Because it's in compression, right?
Yes.
So when it does that, it starts closing, you pull your bar out, and then you go back in, you bore in kind of where the bar was already at,
where you left off,
and you're creating more space by doing that for your bar. And then you go down a little further, and the kerf will continue closing. You just keep doing that, coming out and then boring in to create space. And essentially the kerf on top will eventually close.
And then you don't,
and it's not going to go any further.
Right. Then it's under
compression.
Under full compression.
It's under full compression, but it's not going to go anywhere. And you've made the cut. So it's it's separate from itself. So you can just, once it's closed, you just continue out the bottom.
Way down.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I never would have thought about doing that before.
Yeah, that's clever.
So that was kind of cool, learning a couple new methods and ways to buck trees. And then learning kind of the way to view trees. Like I kind of equated it to whitewater rafting.
Yeah.
You can go whitewater rafting, but until you really know how to read the river and read the currents, you don't know how to control the whitewater rafting.
Right.
And so being able to read a tree or a log and know where the points of tension and compression are at, that was the big thing I took out of it, I think.
Yeah. In a way, you can relate it right back to off-roading, right?
Totally. Yeah.
You need to be able to pick and choose your lines and understand what the geometry of your vehicle and where your low points are.
Yep.
And you need to be able to hit certain obstacles so that your low points will clear the obstacle so that you can continue going down the trail.
Yep. Yeah. It was really cool. Getting into doing the limbing and bucking and then felling. I have like little to no experience felling trees.
You've dropped a few palm trees.
I have dropped a few palm trees. I understand the concept of it. But like, I don't know how to like really, I understand the concept of getting a tree to go where you want it to.
Yeah.
But I don't understand the little details you can do, the little tricks you can do to make sure it goes there.
Yeah, sure.
And so,
you have the understanding of cut a wedge out and then start cutting it from the backside.
And hopefully it
falls where you cut the wedge.
Exactly.
Yeah. With the minute details of like splitting, two obstacles and having the tree fall perfectly where you want.
Exactly.
Okay. So did you learn some of those?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
So that was really cool, learning about, your gunning cut, face cuts, and back cuts and how they all impact each other. So if you mess up one, how do you fix it? By adjusting the other ones, and what a good conventional cut looks like. After you do your face cut and gunning cut, what that wedge part looks like, a good one to know that the tree is going to go where you want it to go. So learning that was super eye opening and being like, oh, it's not just cut a wedge and then there's ways to fix a wedge so that the tree is going to go where you want it to go if you mess it up.
Oh, interesting.
So cool. I got to learn those techniques and then put them all into play for getting tested. So it was a lot of fun. I've never dropped trees more than 30 to 40 feet tall before.
Yeah.
And so the tree that the instructor picked out for me to drop was 85 feet.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow. What were they, just at like somewhere in the forest and you just kind of... we're going to drop all these trees right here.
Yeah, we were in a burn scar area. So
were you dropping dead trees?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. They picked out ones that were dead and burned or dead from beetle intrusion. So they would go around and pick them for your test and be like, all right, this one's yours. This one, you're going for your A cert. So this one's you going for your B cert. You get this one over here. It's more complicated. And
okay.
Yeah.
And did they say, I want you to drop this one here? Did they point like, I want you to split those two trees perfectly?
Kind of. He gave me a 45-degree window of where he wanted it to go. And then I got to choose exactly where I wanted it within that 45 degrees roughly.
Okay.
Or 90 degrees. So
he gave you 90 and you chose where within that range.
Yep.
How close were you to where you wanted to drop it?
It ended up being about 10 degrees off, 10 to 15 degrees off. So better than like what I would think I would do with an 85-foot tree, being this new to felling. But it was definitely, it ended. So the scenario was that there was a dead tree next to a hiking trail, and we had a hiking trail right there too. And so he goes, we need to get this dead tree out so it doesn't injure somebody. That's the scenario. So it's up to me to drop it. And ideally drop it so that we don't have to buck it afterwards because it drops over the trail.
Okay.
But like the only spot to really drop it because of the lean of the tree, because I'm going for the A felling. If I was going for a B felling, he might've told me to drop it the other way because that means I have to overcome the natural lean of the tree to get the tree to go where I want it to go.
And so I don't understand how you could do that.
Wedges. Wedges.
Yeah.
So that was another fascinating thing was learning how to properly use wedges to do work.
Yes.
Like in the past, I've always just used wedges just to kind of put into a log to keep my saw from getting pinched.
Right. To prevent the pinch point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But this was using wedges for all sorts of different cool uses. And I was like, I need to get some wedges now. Like after now learning about all the different things you can do with wedges. So anyways, he was like, yeah, drop it over here. The goal is to not get it over the trail, but we're going to put trail guards out to keep people from hiking down. So if it does go over the trail, not a big deal. I'm not going to like fail you for it, but because everybody will be safe, we're going to do it safely, but it just means you have more work to do now and you have to buck the tree and move it out of the trail then.
Yes.
And so my goal was to drop it about 4 feet from the trail. And I ended up getting the top third, 25% of the tree went over the trail.
Okay.
So
you had to go do some limbing.
I had to go do limbing and bucking after I dropped the tree. Yeah. But I used my saw, which was the little Poulan Pro 18-inch bar.
Yeah.
It's a 42cc saw, which I'm still amazed it hasn't died yet from how much I use it and what I use it for.
Yeah.
And limbing and bucking, that saw is awesome because it's lightweight. It's super maneuverable. You can get it around and through places. And you don't need a ton of power and torque for bucking. You just kind of pull up the throttle and go and just make sure your cuts are on point, right? When felling though, that saw is a terrible, terrible saw for felling.
Is the bar not large enough?
Not necessarily.
It doesn't have the power.
It doesn't. There's three things that it's really missing for felling. One is the bar isn't stable enough. So there's a part, one you're doing your gunning cut, which is the flat part of your wedge.
Okay.
The gunning cut, as you get the chainsaw in there, you want to go in about 20-30% of the tree. And then you use that to figure out your aim for dropping the tree is based on your gunning cut. And so when you get the chainsaw in there, you kind of have to let the chainsaw sit there in the bar. And then while you kind of feel it and see if you have it flat against what you've been cutting, and then you use that to aim off your chainsaw to your reference point of where you're trying to drop the tree.
Okay.
There's two things wrong with the chainsaw I have right now. One is the bar is weak. So as the power head and the bar sit in the tree and I let it go, but it bends.
It bends.
Yeah, the bar sucks.
Okay. I was curious if you were getting a contour to actually your chainsaw also when you're cutting.
Yeah. It wasn't that bad, but it definitely, like, there was points, when you're cutting your face cut for the wedge, you have to set it in there and then kind of look over to make sure that you're going to reach your wedge over to the other side of your gunning cut
corner. Yeah.
And it's kind of just sitting in there and it's like, I just don't trust that bar. So that's thing number one wrong. Thing number two is that felling saws have sights on them on the body of the power head.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. So that once you have it in at your gunning cut, you can take it and there's lines perfectly perpendicular to your bar that will come off of your power head on both sides so that you can have the chainsaw in there. Just let it sit in there.
And you can look down the chainsaw.
You can look down the chainsaw sight and see if the tree is going where you want it to go.
Nice. Okay. And yours doesn't have that.
Mine doesn't have those. Yep. So that's problem number 2. Problem number 3 is that for felling, it really is an art form. And you can't just go full throttle. You really have to feel what the tree in your chainsaw is doing.
Yeah.
Which means you can't, in order to get my chainsaw up and going, if it's like, if the teeth are caught on something, the chain is caught, you have to like back it out a little bit, full throttle, and then go back in.
Yes.
It doesn't have low end torque at all. And so felling saws have a lot more low end torque so that you can just kind of feather it and it'll just a little bit at a time. So you can cut a little bit at a time and kind of be like watching the tree up above you to see what's going on and how the tree is reacting, how close you're getting on your say like your back cut to get the hinge wood, the proper size you want so that the tree goes when you want it to go.
Right.
So, that pool end just doesn't have any low end torque. It wants to be full throttle and you just can't fell trees at full throttle.
Okay.
So, after I passed my test, so I ended up getting an A felling and B bucking certificate.
Cool.
Certified. I sat back and while the second person in my group of 3 was getting tested, I was running trail guard to keep people from going down the hiking trail. And I had cell service.
Okay.
So I went chainsaw shopping while I was there. So I ended up ordering an Echo 60cc 24-inch bar chainsaw.
Oh, okay.
So
nice.
That'll be in, I don't know, sometime, I don't know when, but that'll's going to turn into, I think, my like trail maintenance saw. And I'm going to keep the Poulan as the like main wheeling saw because it's just so much lighter and nimble.
Smaller.
It's smaller. It'll fit in the rig better. It's not going to take up a lot of space. But anytime I'm going to go do trail maintenance or if I'm going out after a storm, I'll end up taking the bigger saw. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good learning experience. I learned stuff just listening to you.
It was really eye-opening. It was pretty cool. Chainsaws are a fantastic tool. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You can use them in a ton of different ways. But if you misuse them, it's like a firearm, man.
Sure.
They're fun. They're really useful for things, but if you misuse them, there's severe consequences.
Yeah.
Except that, unlike a firearm with a chainsaw, if you're felling trees and they're doing, high risk bucking, you've got everything around you, the terrain is fighting you and can kill you as well.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
So, it was a really eye opening. I'm really glad I took the class. If anybody out there is like looking to do chainsaws more, even if it's just on your property at home, I'd highly recommend the class. There was a lot of good stuff in there. So
yeah. Mm-hmm. I just wish it didn't have a 9-hour lecture before it.
Yeah, that was brutal.
Yeah, I'm sure you learned stuff in there, but I learned more by doing.
100%. You kind of, what the classroom stuff is, it goes over a lot of the terminology.
Okay.
That you're going to be talking about. So that when your instructors are saying, hey, go fell this tree, do the correct process for how you evaluate what you're going to do, what you're going to say when you start it, so that people around you know a tree is coming down and kind of the processes of everything. That's what all the classroom is.
Right.
So, yeah.
Understood. I know that there's a lot of safety that can go into all that. So
especially if you're having to do stuff for the Forest Service.
Yeah.
Which is that's all they care about is liability. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, that's cool. I have some technical questions for you, but I'll do those ones off air because I don't want to bore everybody with some technical things.
Yeah.
I guess I'll ask one technical question because I think it might be kind of a good info. Mm-hmm. So your gunning cut is the flat one of the wedge.
Yep.
How far up from the gunning cut do you make the back cut?
From the back cut. It depends on the tree, the hardwood of the tree.
Yeah.
Ideally, you want it about 1 inch.
Oh, okay.
But if you make your gunning cut too far, say you mess it up and you're having to clean up your gunning cut and your face cut, to make sure the tree goes where you want it to go, and you go 40% into the tree, then you want your back cut to be higher. so that there's more wood, more meat holding it there before the tree goes on you.
Okay.
So there's different ways.
So you can play with it to help hold the tree to make it more stable for your fell.
Yep.
By adjusting the height difference between your gutting cut and the back cut.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And then you can do your face cut. You can do that on top or below, or you could do both of them as you could do a top and bottom. If you want to have extreme control of the tree coming down as slow as it can go, then you do angled cuts on both sides, top and bottom.
Oh.
And so the conventional way to do it, it's called a conventional cut, is your gunning cut is first flat and then your wedge is on top.
Yeah.
And then it's called a humboldt cut. And when you do the wedge up below your gunning cut, and what's good about that is it allows the tree to drop all the way down almost to the ground before it fully like disconnects from your hinge wood.
Yes.
But if you do a conventional cut, the tree kind of drops off of the stump.
Yeah.
So it's got further to go to the ground when it drops off. But when you do a full open,
wedge on top and wedge on bottom.
Wedge on top, wedge on bottom, then the tree goes all the way to the ground before it really fully disconnects from the trunk.
Nice.
So
that all makes sense as well.
Right.
Yeah, and something I never would have thought of. I just, I've always sort of assumed that it's a flat cut and a wedge on on the top, because that's the only way I've ever noticed or been taught.
Yeah. Right. So it was a lot of that type of information where like you hear it and you're like, oh yeah, that makes total sense if you understand physics, but you wouldn't necessarily think about it until somebody experienced tells you about it. And you're like, oh yeah, totally.
So if you do a conventional cut and it's it's proper, it's the proper way to do it, you're only going about an inch higher to make the back cut than the point of the conventional cut.
Yeah. Roughly.
The inner point. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, that's very useful information. And I think there's something to be said about going and taking a class for things to just be more knowledgeable and more safe around it. Right.
Totally. Yep.
Like, okay. There's a whole bunch of people that have chainsaws out there, and there's a lot of people that still have their arms and legs, and you use it all the time and you know what you're doing, but to gain a little bit more knowledge is not a bad thing.
It's really not. Like both John and I came out of the classroom day and we kind of like looked at each other, and the first thing we both said was, I don't know how I'm not dead. Some of the stuff that we do.
Yeah. So, sometimes you can't follow the rules.
Yeah. So it was a lot of fun weekend, great class. Thank you to Eldorado National Forest for putting it on, and the Hot Shots crew for teaching it. So, that's cool. It. And then I think we'll save the Bronco talk for Monday, because I think we might be able to do pretty close to a full episode on some of the off-road tech for it. So
we both realized that we talked about the Bronco and your off-roading, but you never talked about any of the features that the Bronco has and what you used while you were out in Moab. So I think we're going to do an episode on that on Monday, and we're going to catch up on the Bronco and its off-road capabilities and functionality.
Cool. Sounds good, man. If anybody has any feedback on this episode, you want to call in and leave us some voicemails that we can play and talk about on episode 400. Do that at 916-345-4744. If you have any negative feedback for us, you can always call the complaint line. We talked about it recently, but it's 408-800-5169. And if you guys want to get a hold of us on Instagram to give us some feedback about stuff, you can totally do that at 4x4 Toyota Tyler or Snail Trail 4x4. And there's also emails that you can email us at to get in contact. So Jimmy Jet, do you have any final words for everybody out there?
Hey, Ben, do you want to come over and play Magic?
And with that, my friends, keep crawling.
I got one for you.
Okay.
Why do football players never get hot?
I have no idea.
Because of all the fans.
A lot of fans.
A lot of fans.
A lot of fans.
Yep.
It's like 30,000 fans in a stadium.
Something
like
Depends
that.
on the stadium, I think. Yeah. That one was told to me by the mini assistant this morning.
I wonder what that would do if you actually had 30, like one fan in every seat in a stadium pointing at the field. Like, would that just create a giant tornado in the middle of the stadium?
Maybe. What if you turned them a little bit so all the wind was blowing in a circle, like a whirlpool?
Yeah, a big old air whirlpool in
That
the
would
stadium.
be a tornado, probably.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.